Thanks to everyone who supported us over on Patreon. If you want additional episodes every month, all you got to do, boardsandswords.com/Patreon, and go back us for just $1. Watch very closely now. 3, 2, 1. Bzow! Check that out.
We want the fun. Gotta have that fun.
Is it okay if it's okay if like when the bread touches the fries?
Do I really want to just stand still and cast a lightning bolt? No, I want to avoid you and shove a lightning bolt at your ass.
I just crapped my alien pants. By the way, I just want to let you guys know.
You hate all of us, and we're fired.
I've released poison into the AC system. You all have about 5 minutes left to live.
So much news, like all this stuff to talk about.
No, there's been some stuff, but it was all boring.
You didn't go with C.
Well, you need to go with C.
And our friends, we combined.
You've told that story.
We combined. Have I told it on the podcast?
I'm pretty sure
you have.
At
Well,
least
I'm
twice.
telling it again.
Because I just realized as I was reading this that this game's already been done. They even made a show about it. It's called Yu-Gi-Oh! And go watch it.
This is Boards and Swords.
Hello out there, everyone. Welcome to Boards and Swords. This is a podcast where we got 3 things for you. We got bad jokes, more bad jokes, and something about threes. Anyways, we got bad jokes, good folks, and some board game talk here. And it's not just me. Back fresh from the city of sin, it's Mr. Philip Herbig.
It's like my home away from home. It was so nice. What's going on, everybody? That's right. I'm Philip. I am back. We got. I'm looking over the show notes. We got some stuff to talk about.
We do
with
have
you guys
stuff
today.
to talk about. Yeah.
The world doesn't revolve around me. Life keeps going when I'm not here. That's such a strange.
We had a whole episode without you.
So weird.
To the point where like everybody got to see me try and fiddle with the soundboard while doing everything else.
Oh yeah.
There's a reason I stopped doing that.
That's okay. Hey, good thing I didn't change any of the hotkeys on you. I really
No,
messed you
there was the what hotkey is that? So you want to give us the grand overview of the Vegas trip. Like what was your favorite thing at least?
Well, I can't go into that.
Okay.
Let's see.
The favorite thing that you could talk about.
Actually seeing Penn and Teller.
Oh, you did? I'm so jealous.
I went and saw Penn and Teller.
Oh man.
And I mean, like, but like this, just the audience interaction.
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing.
Now, is it their actual show or was it like a filming of like their Fool Us?
It was their actual show.
Okay, that's cool. All right.
Because they talked about that. They talked about how they've been on they filmed, yeah. But no, this was the actual show at the Rio. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, and
That
we're
was
going to
cool.
get full in on Philip's Vegas trick when we get into the bonus bits. That's not it for right now. It's time to talk some news. All right. So, you may not remember. There was kind of other things that were more important.
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Pepperidge Farm does remember. There were other big things happening in 2020. She may not have remembered this, but FFG released a Hulk pack for Marvel Champions, and I want to know, does that make 2020 then a banner year for them? Marvel Champions, what? And that is I said banner because Stonemaier Games reported another banner year in 2021. So the sales were up 38% in second COVID year. So raking $24.7 million from $17.9 million. I think that's supposed to be in 2020. So third consecutive year for growth. Up 40% in 2020, 33% in 2019. I thought it's I always, again, nobody ever tells me to shut up with these, so I always like to talk like sales figure stuff because I just find it interesting. Because, you know, everybody talks about like Wingspan's overhyped and blah, 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 but like they're still selling loads of them. Like ridiculous amounts of them. Like, let's see, lifetime copies is over 1 million copies of the game. In just 2021 alone, they sold. So I guess they sold almost half of that last year. So a little less than half.
I don't think I've ever touched the game.
I don't think you have. I mean, I have it, but I mean, it's a game about birds, so it's not really. I'm
Can you
sure
flip the bird.
Hmm?
Can you flip the bird?
Maybe.
Okay.
All I know is the bird is the word. I'm sure it's a game that if someone put it in front of you, you'd play it, but it doesn't sound like the kind of thing you'd actively go out and search for.
I'm like, and honestly, it's I'm judging a game by its cover, but like,
I mean, it's
It's-
pretty color. A pretty cover.
It's not. It's a nice artwork and everything, but it's like, all right, yeah, it's a sky and some birds. Do the birds are they sharks with freaking laser beams attached to their heads?
I mean, it's an engine building game. It's like that Imperial Settlers game where you try and get the right cards to like make your stuff, to get resources to buy other cards and blah blah blah. That sort of thing.
Engine building. See that? And I mean, a lot of games you can't really tell what the mechanics are based on
Right.
the box art. But I mean, engine buildings are fun.
Yeah. It's just with birds. Let's see what other games. The new games. Let's see. They sold over 100,000 copies of Red Rising, which is weird because I didn't hear a lot about it. I heard people talk about it, but then I also heard kind of middling things about it. Of course, I'm also not as in tune with the board game sphere as I used to be, mainly because we're not going to cons and stuff and seeing people play. And then Rolling Realms, which is their roll and write game, sold 36. So 3,600 seems like a small amount, but it's for a roll and write. And also, like, I think like when you do a Kickstarter, like a good Kickstarter order is like 10, like 5 to 10,000 copies. Like if you're doing a published run of something, so that's pretty good. 36,000.
Oh yeah.
So, and then they talk about this year they've got Libertalia, and then a Wingspan nesting box, which will, dang it, it's gonna have an expansion in there. Guess what I'm buying this year?
Which will include an expansion.
Yeah.
Like that.
So, you ready to move on to the next one?
We can.
Hello, Mike Hargis is in the chat room.
Hey.
So, with this next set of miniatures, you'll really maul your enemies, as in Darth Maul.
Got him!
So, I don't talk about like all the standard releases that come out for Star Wars Legion. It's a great game. I don't play it. A lot of people do, and it's a very niche, so I try not to talk about it too much. However, Atomic Mass Games, which now has the game from FFG, this is a new starter set, which is one reason why I wanted to talk about this. The other reason why is what the things are that it has, because if you're someone that's been a fan of like the shows, mainly like The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett, you might be interested in this. So the starter set includes 3 factions of mercenaries. So you could use these three sets of units individually into your things, I believe, or you can unite them together as like a shadow collective under Darth Maul being your commander, and play them as an army. Comes out on my birthday. It'll include. Let's see, where was it? It comes with Darth Maul, of course. You get a Shadow Collective Mandalorian Super Commandos, a unit of Black Sun Enforcers, and a unit of Pike Syndicate Foot Soldiers. So the Mandalorian Commandos and the Pike Syndicate Foot Soldiers, those are people from like Mandalorian, obviously, and the Book of Boba Fett. The Pike Syndicate was the kind of the people that took over that town.
Yeah, that was the
big fight. Yeah, the big battle there.
With the really awesome droid.
Yeah.
Those were sweet.
The like knockoff destroyer droids.
Oh, the destroyer droid on like every steroid imaginable, man.
Yeah. So this bad boy comes to $70. Oh, I forgot to see if they have photos. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's actually a pretty sweet pose for Darth Maul. Look at that.
Oh, that's pretty nice.
So, and then you got your Mandalorians. Ooh, I like the that's cool. I like the Zabrakian Mandalorian
The hell,
with
yeah.
the spikes in the helmet. That's pretty wicked. These I would almost pick this up just to paint the Mandalorians, you know? Like if it were not like if I could buy just those separately. So I'm assuming these are the maybe those are the Black Sun. Those are probably okay, because these are probably the Pike.
The Pikes have the diamond-shaped heads.
Yeah, that's what these.
Yeah.
The Mandalorians have a jetpack figure.
Yeah, I see that on the big one. Yeah.
That's so cool. So because I know our Star Wars GM Mike is watching. These are also good minis if you run a Star Wars RPG game, might be worth looking into as well. Even if you don't want to play the game.
It looks like they've got the Warhammer route because you got to pick Maul's pose.
Yes, they've gone. So they've always been on assembly. So you have to assemble these minis. This isn't like X-Wing where they come assembled. And starting with the droid ones, they do come on sprues now. It used to be each mini just came in a bag and all its parts separately. And I think the clone troopers still do. But the droids pieces were so tiny that in order to get them that detailed that they had to put them on a sprue. So you had to clip them off and then glue them together, kind of like in... Mike's asking, is that a hint? I'm just saying. I'm not saying
it's
anything.
not a hint.
It's not. Yeah, it's not a hint. I mean, we usually don't really play with the minis that much, other than like here I am on a map. But so since we last podcasted, April Fools happen.
Yes.
I love it when an April Fool's joke actually isn't a joke. So let's just say if you enjoyed Into the Spider-Verse, you'll really want to tune into this next story. And that is Spider-Ham is coming to Marvel Champions. Which I was thinking, like here on this picture, you got the Spider-Ham and he's got the little nose eye things. Like regular Spider-Man doesn't have that. Like he doesn't have holes in his, like holes in his mask. Like why do there have to be holes there? Like it just bothers me a little bit. Like couldn't the just nose have been covered up?
I think it's because it's so pronounced.
Maybe
on Porky Pig's nose.
That is not Porky Pig. That is Peter Porker.
That is Peter Porker. That's right. Or is it Harry Plopper?
No, his name is Peter Porker.
I know.
I tried to find a GIF of that where he's like, Spider Pig. I couldn't find it. But yeah, so Fantasy Flight came out with this on April 1st, and everybody thought that this was a joke, except there had been a release of like a retail order sheet months ago that had this listed on there. And so everyone's like, no, this is for real. And so I like the next day they go like, no, this is serious. We're doing this.
That's actually you drop it in just a rant like, oh hey, this is what we're releasing for the next year, whatever. And then you hide something that people are gonna think is fake in there.
Yeah.
And then you announce it on April Fool's, so everyone's like, yeah, whatever, shit. That's cool. It's never gonna happen.
Yeah. It's like when they announced the Captain America Civil War, but they announced it with the other. There was like when they announced it, they actually put like a different subtitle on it, and they're like, "Just kidding, it's Civil War, guys."
My issue is you go through some of these. It's kind of like the Super Bowl. They put so much work into their April Fool's jokes, and you're like, but guys, that's a good idea. I want to buy it.
I know. I like
want this now.
My wife was like every time something came up on April Fool's, she's just like, dang it. Like it got her. I love the creativity that companies come on. I embrace April Fools just because I like seeing the things. And in fact, I wish ThinkGeek was still a big thing where like their items would often be, or they would become items. Like there was like, what was it? The Tauntaun sleeping bag. That was an item. That was a April Fool's joke that people were like, no, we want that. And even Fantasy Flight, they did that Barkham Horror where that was just a joke, and the people are like, no, we'll pay you money for this.
Yeah,
Take my money. Apparently, I guess Miniature Market's having a sale.
oh,
Mike Hargis picked up the Song of Fire and Ice starter set for $22. That thing was like $100 at retail. That was the game that we played that back over there.
yeah,
in that room,
the
where they had the political
full squadron movement. Thing.
Yeah, they had the political movement track or political thing at the top for like all your non-combat people.
Yeah.
Massive Darkness Lightbringer box for $22. It retails for $200. Jeez. So yeah, if you want, if you loved Into the Spider-Verse, then I really hope. I don't think it's in the plans for it because I don't think it was on that sheet. But I think a Spider-Man Noir would be a cool Marvel Champions thing because they're also bringing that spider that's like SPI like / the Asian looking like mecha spider thing from Into the Spider-Verse. I don't know if you've seen Into the Spider-Verse. Why have you not seen Into the Spider-Verse?
Because it would involve me like paying attention.
That's such a good movie.
And I'm not saying I don't want to watch it. It's just I get home from work and I make my dinner and I put on background noise.
It's been out for like 3 years.
Okay, yes, and I haven't really gotten to stay home like a lot of other people.
Can we see
Work in my pajamas?
Howard the Duck from Marvel Champions?
See, that would be awesome.
That would be. I don't know if you get as many people buying that though. That's where that would be.
That would be a very select.
That would be a good April Fool's joke just to see how many people would say yes, I'll do that. Like it's do enough to like put on do enough to put on the web page, and then when people go, ooh, take my money, then be like, okay, start the printers.
Make it a print on demand.
That's what some of these will do, or at least that's what they did for the Barkham Horror. They did print on demand, I think.
Yeah, like that's don't put out the effort to make it in card stock and all that stuff. Just
right.
Hey, here's a PDF file. Go nuts.
If I had been gone for 20 years and suddenly showed up back in port randomly after being presumed dead, I imagine that would be Odyssey. That's a Trojan War joke for y'all. I'm like classy like that. So I threw this up just because it was just weird because like I haven't heard anything about Cosmic Encounter in years, like yars and yars. And then I come find out that not only are they doing another expansion, but they're doing a campaign expansion. So Cosmic Odyssey, the latest expansion for Cosmic Encounter, packs enough law to enhance your wild and wonderful space shenanigans for countless games to come. Even if you don't own any of the previous expansion, it brings loads of aliens, variants, and a brand new campaign mode to the table. Now, you've played Cosmic Encounter.
This game we played at Jeremy's.
This is the game you played at Jeremy's where you started to be all like pitiful and got everybody to be on your side and then like totally wrecked everybody's stuff by like purposely taking a dive just so everybody's ships got killed. Because you had like one ship, so everybody's like, I'll help you.
I'm not saying that sounds like me, but that might have been me.
But I don't know how you do that as a campaign. So this mode sees you and your fellow Cosmic Encounterers, why couldn't you just say players, leading coalitions of aliens through a series of games across the cosmological ages while garnering prizes along the way. These prizes can be used in subsequent ages or saved for the final age. However, regardless of your win-loss record during the journey, every player that's been declared a winner in the final age game is crowned a campaign winner. I mean, that's nice. Especially since there are people listening to this podcast that have not done well in some of the campaign games that we've played. All you gotta do is win the last one.
There you go.
Okay.
I guess you have to use. Wait, what? So I'm focusing on the Grumpus card.
Mm-hmm.
and like he got older.
Which one is that?
If it's
Oh, I
prominently
see it down
displayed.
here. You have the power to grump. Wherever.
Oh, and the older one, you have the power to grump.
Yeah. So, because that's the way Cosmic Encounter works. Mike says I plead the fifth. Yeah, it's one of those like every race like breaks a rule of the game basically. But
Oh, see that's
so I mean, I'm curious as to how a Cosmic Encounter campaign thing would go. I don't know if that's curious enough.
Oh, it's so the original Grump is on the left from Cosmic Storm, and the new alternate timeline Grump from Cosmic Odyssey.
Okay. That's
12
the old
alternate timeline aliens. Okay.
The older one.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, maybe I'll see this at Gen Con and maybe I'll like look into it. I don't know. I still have it. Over there. That'd be a good game. That'd be a good game to play. That'd be interesting to play with our group. Because I don't think I've brought it out against them. And there's definitely like some conniving people, myself included, that would probably enjoy that game.
Yeah, you do. What's the player count?
7, I think. So I think the base game goes 2 to 5, but I think you can go up to 7 if you get a couple of the expansions.
Gotcha.
I think that's the way it works. So, last news story for you. If I read a lot of Lord of the Rings lore, would you say that my knowledge dwarves most people's? So this was another April Fool's joke. So Warhammer and Games Workshop, they put out this thing, and they did some other jokes. Like they had a Beetle posted it in our chat and in the Slack where it was like a space marine, but he was like a chunky space marine, and he was like finally a space marine I could cosplay as.
There we go.
I might have to find it here in a sec, but they posted this video where it was like this long haul. So it's a ship that's been like it's been deserted, like lights are flickering, and like there's corpses of bodies laying there. It's just adrift, and it's kind of one of those like panning down the corridor, and then it gets to this door, and you hear like this thud. All of a sudden, the door comes in, and this dwarf just flops out of the hatch there, and it gets played off as this like April Fool's thing and it's like they're back because apparently there used to be this what they were called squats, and I think it was Necromunda. I don't know a whole lot about it, but basically they're space dwarves. And so then everybody was like, how dare you tease us, because this was something that people had been asking for forever and they just never got around to. And they're like, we really want this. And then on April 2nd, they were like, ha, joke's on you. It's a real thing. And that's right, because I saw the video and I was like, that was way too produced to be an April Fool's joke. Like, you're talking like a CGI little trailer, you know.
That's what companies are doing.
I know, but like...
Which is why it's so infuriating. You're like, you put so much effort into it.
Yeah, but when you're talking like I understand like a Google or, you know, Apple or like a big company, and not like somebody was like Games Workshop's a big company. Money-wise, yes. Personnel-wise, not as much as you would think. Like, I can gather there is probably not as many people that are working on this stuff. So.
Yeah, maybe they could farm it out to ILM or something.
Yeah. Yes, April Fool's double bluff that had Zeech himself scratching his feathered head. Humanity's long-lost cousins are actually making their return to the 41st millennium as a full Warhammer 40k faction. So they're going to be called the Leagues of Votan, is the actual official name, although they refer to themselves as kin. Necromundians still call them squats. That's not how they refer to them. They have a long and proud martial history. Those that aren't on their bad side, they're known as the Leagues of Votan. So yeah, and they've shown. I think they may have done a second miniature tease, but they've only really shown us like one or maybe two, like I said. Looks pretty sweet. Definitely kind of gives you the. I saw this and I just immediately thought Deep Rock Galactic. That was.
That's 100. I think that was in our. It was in our Slack.
I
in
think
our
I
Slack channel.
I posted it
Or
saying
you
anybody. I
yeah.
was like, anybody want to play Deep Rock Galactic in 40K? Yeah, because like I see this and just like that's immediately what. Apparently Mike had a few squats in
Okay,
earlier
yeah.
edition of 40K.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe when we get in this, you know what? This might be a good transition into our topic because we're going to start talking about some lore and stuff. Because Philip unfortunately didn't do. Although I'm sure there were games of chance involved in Vegas.
There were. I spent so much less than I budgeted $200. Like,
Mhm.
this is what I'm gonna lose.
Mm-hmm.
I only lost $40.
But like, is that all you spent, or
That's all I spent.
you just didn't feel like that was like
No,
you're like
I was like,
you
like,
did the gambling. It was a check on the list, and then you're like, I'm good.
yeah, and it was all slot machines.
Yeah.
Because I was just, as I'm randomly walking around the casinos, I'm just like, oh hey, that one says it's only $1.
Yeah.
There you go. Oh, I lost. Okay.
I mean,
Keep walking.
I hear it's a good way to get drunk because they'll just like bring you drinks while
Like,
you're.
feeding you drinks if you're sitting there.
Yeah. What's
I don't know. I did too much walking around.
I hear craps is a good way to gamble. Like that's got good, decent odds,
Mhm.
is what I hear. I know nothing about it. But yeah, so still haven't been playing a lot of games myself. So of course I've been doing more painting. Oh, this happened. So I had an idea last night, and I'm really excited. This really excited. So I'm repainting my Space Marines for the new faction. I'm slowly painting up the Black Templars, and the combat patrol box I started with. I'm repainting those guys, and there's 3 like snipers. It comes with basically 3 snipers. You got these guys with these long bolt rifles, whatever. And when I painted them for Grey Knights, thinking that I could use them, which I couldn't. I never liked the paint job. It was like I was gonna repaint these guys anyways because it did not turn out well like the way I painted them. So I was trying to do some different stuff this time around, and I used this contrast paint that gives it kind of like a leathery look. Think like a cloak you would use if you were trying to camo in the desert kind of look.
Gotcha. Yep.
But it just didn't, because they have black armor. Let me show you like the rest of the guys here. Like these are what like the rest of the guys look like, at least so far. You know, black armor, white shoulder pads. You know, they got the red bolt guns, that sort of thing. And so I was trying to like figure out how, because the leather against the black just it looked terrible. And so I was like, I wonder if I just throw like, because then I was thinking, I was like, oh, green would probably look like a camo green would look good on there. But I didn't want to have to like spray it white again and then repaint it or anything. I was like, what if I did the green contrast paint over the lighter, and it turned out so good. Oh, wrong way. It turned out so good. Look at this. It actually turned out like camo.
All right. As soon as one of them decides to load.
I know you gotta wait for the stream to catch up there. But yeah, like because you got the fades. It fades between green and like the yellow or the kind of more yellowy orange. It looks so good. I'm so excited.
That's nice.
Yeah. So that's kind of like the big things that I've been doing and like repainting like I said. These aren't even the Black Templars. These are just the regular Space Marines that I have that I'm painting as Black Templars. I haven't even put together the actual box. I flipped to this. This was interesting. So remember there's that child going to college that lives in this house?
Yeah.
So she had like a new student weekend. It was like an open house. And of course, I have to find the nearest game store. And so this was so, because like it was a tiny store that like really maximized the space. Like their shelves were like ceiling to floor. Like I just
Alright.
went ceiling to floor, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
And then they had plenty of space for their actual play space area, and they even had a TV set up where a DM was using the TV, which I mean, that's not out of the ordinary. I mean, we used to do it when we would play over at Nichols' house, except for the TV was in the table. What was weird stood out to me is that this is in the middle of a game store. Like there's just a TV available for them to use in their D&D game at this game store.
Awesome.
I was like, that's pretty sweet. So, and then other than that, I had more 40K games. They didn't go so well.
It happens. It
Yeah.
happens.
Especially I had to play one early because I was gone this past weekend. And I ended up playing against one of the guy running the league. I just got stomped. Like most of my army was gone before I even got a chance to attack. Like there was literally it was just like, what could I have done differently? Oh, rolled to go first. That's about it. And then I got to think about it more. I was like, well, if I'd actually placed this unit and that unit, that would probably have defended these units better. But it felt like that game. It felt like a game where it was like, oh, there's literally nothing better I could have done in this. To the point where you're just like, all right, let's speed it up so I can do anything. I can be anywhere but here.
We're gonna reset for the next game. Okay, gotcha. Dude pulled Exodia on his first hand. God, you're gone.
Pretty much. Yeah. Except for it be like knowing they had Exodia and then be like, oh, of course. Yeah, you pulled it round one. Okay.
Yeah.
I should have seen this coming. But other than that, this kind of transitions into our topic. We're talking about books. Because you weren't here, but they released saying that there's going to be a new Horus Heresy book, or Horus Heresy game. So a standalone box game that's set around the time, the year 31,000 that when the Horus Heresy happened. I was like, I don't know really anything about it. And I've also been wanting to get into the lore. And everybody, when you look at all these novels that they put, there's like literally hundreds of novels they do. So it's like, where the heck do you start? And so everybody was like, start with Horus Heresy. First book of Horus Heresy. So that's where I picked up Horus Rising. It's the book one of like whatever. It's like 49 books at this point. Although surprisingly, this only came out in 2006. I thought that the series had been older than that.
Okay.
And actually, some of the later books actually made it onto the New York Times bestseller list. So I'm kind of curious to see about those. Oh. So as at this point, I've actually read book 1 and 2. Okay. It's a great intro. Like if you've ever been curious about 40K at all, and like I love the lore, but I don't want to spend money on the games. This book right here, Horus Rising, book 1, by Dan Abnett. It's a great book to read because it definitely gives you that like Space Marine feel of this is how Space Marines operate kind of thing. Okay. But like, yeah, so I'm working my way through that. But since I'm working my way, I was like, there are a lot more than you might think of games that have books. So Tom says matches like that are what drove me away from GW. I could see that. It's also the fact of like I don't know what I'm doing, and it could have been the that's the bigger thing is I don't know what I was doing, and I went up against an expert who was holding no punches. That was the thing. He was not pulling he was not pulling his punches, which is fine. It's a learning thing.
Exactly.
And the other thing is I still have fun when I'm losing because even the randomness of the games still mean that even when I'm losing, there might be that like one attack that gets through that like definitely under no circumstances should have gotten through, but the dice just happened to fall that like, that one Space Marine goes up and just annihilates a tank kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And somehow it works. It's like when you do the when you just tell the DM you're going to do something completely bonkers, and they're like, "Whatever, roll," and you roll the nat 20.
Yep.
Yeah, it's that kind of feeling. So, and I mean, we may, depending on how much we talk here. I mean, we could video games. You want to talk about video games? There's books all day, like Halo.
Books all day.
I'm sure there's Call of Duty ones. I know there's like StarCraft, Warcraft. Although I will say, if you're going to get into any of the Warcraft books, listen to the audiobooks. They are amazing. I started doing this, and especially the newer ones. I don't know, because some of the earlier ones I listen to don't, but like in the newer ones for Warcraft, they will play the music from the game of where they are in the book. So if they're talking about being in Stormwind, the City of Stormwind theme starts playing in the background when they enter the section of the book.
Nice.
So it's so cool. And then so there's that. And then there was also, because I got to thinking, I was like, wasn't there a Catan book? There totally is a Catan book.
There's a Catan book?
There is a Catan book. I'm working on pulling it up right now.
That's the one your marker's on in the notes?
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah,
There's
The
a Settlers
Settlers
of
of
Catan book.
Catan. Yep. Written by Rebecca Gables. This is what I was talking about. There are books about all kinds of board games. The year is 1850. In the seas of northern Europe, the small coastal village of Illusun falls prey to marauding neighbors, their food source pillaged, women and children stolen, livestock destroyed. The villagers are left to barely survive the harsh winter. Lost at sea and set adrift, an extraordinarily violent storm washes them ashore of the island famed in pagan lore, Catan. So with Kindle Unlimited, you can read this book for free, apparently. Or it's $5. Looks like they don't have
Or you can get the hardcover for $84.
Well, yeah, it's a hardcover. It's probably limited. I don't even see that as an option for.
Oh no, you don't. Wow, how come you don't have that option?
Yeah, and
Why do
maybe
you
because
do
I'm
things?
logged in, it's trying to send it to my Kindle, and by Kindle I mean like my phone.
Because I've got the 0 for Kindle. I've got 0 for the audiobook. Oh, free with an Audible trial because I haven't trialed Audible.
Yeah, I have. So that's why that. But you can get it for Kindle for $4.99.
When was this book written?
I was trying to figure that out because it's got the old style book cover. Like, now it's just Catan and it looks all on new and stuff. I was trying to find it. Oh, there's an interview with the creator.
Publication date, November 15, 2011.
Yeah, I was about to say, I wanted to say it was in the past couple of like, century. I mean, century, decade. There's also an Infinity book coming out if you're looking for a near future fix. Infinity's also another sci-fi minis game. I believe it's more of a skirmish, like, like 5 to 10 minis, not like your huge armies. Obviously there's the 40K stuff, but and then if you want to kind of like border between, board game and RPG, there's a crap ton of D&D books. And I'm not talking about the like actual books. I'm talking fiction books. Like I was just in the 15 model max for Infinity. I was actually surprised. I went to our local used book dealer because I was looking, I was like, maybe they've got some sort of, 40K books. There's bound to have been somebody around here turned in some 40K books. Nothing. But what they did have is an entire shelf of D&D books. So like all the R.A. Salvatore, all the Legend of Dritz, and like there was like Dragonlance books. I think I saw a Greyhawk book. There was one for Eberron I saw there. There was a whole bunch of, Forgotten Realms stuff, which is like the regular canon nowadays in D&D. So, especially if you've like touched your tip your foot in the, touch your toe, there we go, in the D&D waters, you could check those out. Yeah, Mike says, I remember Dragonlance. I think Philip does too, because I saw his eyes light up a little bit.
Well, no, you said just the tip, and I was like, just see how it feels.
No, I meant previously when I mentioned Dragonlance.
No, I read the first book
Ah,
of Autumn Twilight. I think is the first book.
okay. It's called
can't remember.
Alliance. Hello.
Yeah.
And then I went down some other rabbit holes trying to find other things because the obvious is there's whole Aconite books, which is a lot of the Asmodee properties. So many waxings and wanings of the moon spirit. There's also like BattleTech. I know me and you are big fans of BattleTech. There's a lot of BattleTech books. There's Shadowrun books, and then I found this here because I was like, I don't remember this announcement. I could have, somebody could probably find me a clip of it talking about on the show, but I was like, there's got to be like a Gloomhaven book coming, right? And sure enough, yes, they're being adapted into a book series from Aconite Games or Aconite Books. So based on the world of Gloomhaven, a fantasy setting centered around the titular vast city. So excited or upcoming books based on Gloomhaven and Frosthaven. Although this was written in like 2020, and it says like the novel was supposed to come out in 2021, but I don't remember that ever coming out. It's possible it did. Oh, most of the BattleTech books were terrible. Several actually worth reading. I have a feeling that it's the same way with 40K, that like most of them are probably terrible, but there's probably a bunch of good ones in there. But here, like, if you want to see like a huge list where it's just like anything you wanted to think of, there's a crap ton of books on here. Let's go by title. Let's not go by searching. All right, show me. So Aconite Books is it's a wing of Asmodee. It's their publishing company, and apparently it doesn't want to actually bring up the list. That's fantastic.
Nope, it sure doesn't.
All right, we'll go back to the way it was. All right. So, apparently there's a Tom Clancy's The Division book from Aconite Books. That's funny.
Nice.
They were fine if you like your books to read like genealogy text. I hate those. Oh man, like
Wait, which ones are fine?
I'm assuming BattleTech is what they're talking about.
Okay,
Or they could be talking about GW.
Okay.
But yeah, I hate those or like mythology books where it's like, and this god begot this god begot this god. And I'm like, kill me now.
Begots and begats.
Yeah. So there's a Descent book that's a Tower of Nirek. They got Marvel ones. There's a ton of Legend of the Five Rings. If you love those, I've read one or two of them.
Splinter Cell.
There's a Splinter Cell, really?
Yeah.
I hadn't gotten that far. Twilight Imperium, Arkham Horror, of course. The Arkham Horror ones are good too. Assassin's Creed, Zombicide. So we're talking like outside the scope of just Asmodee. It's kind of nice because I guess that they've kind of made those pathways. So now other people are like, hey, I want to make a book about our game. And we're like, cool. Let's talk licensing.
Right.
So there's an All or Nothing Zombicide book.
Pandemic. Terraforming Mars.
Wait, is that just a pandemic? Is that just a novel or we're talking fiction books here, not just history.
Patient Zero.
Not history books.
It was released in 2021.
Terraforming Mars, Zombicide Black Plague. Let's see, more L5R stuff, more Zombicide stuff, Marvel Crisis Protocol, which is funny considering they have Marvel ones as well, but like this one's branded with their minis game. Oh, there's the Splinter Cell one. There's other Arkham Horror. Yeah, so like tons of stuff. I was just trying to see if there were any other games that I missed.
Twilight Imperium.
My Journey to Catan. Oh, that's a like a biography. It's by Klostermer. There's another Zombicide book. I didn't even know there were Zombicide books, and now here I am finding them. I read some
Keyforge.
Keyforge. Oh, I knew there was a Keyforge one because the first books that came out were Keyforge, L5R, and Arkham Horror, and I read I think 2 or 3 of those. The Keyforge one was really
All the way
great.
at the bottom.
That's because it was the first book, and these are in order by. Yeah, so the Keyforge book was actually really good because it's a series of short stories with each one focusing on like how Keyforge was like different different groups that you just like smash together into, and each deck was like a random mixing of 3 factions. That's the word.
Yeah.
So like each story takes a different picture out of goes to a different faction that tells a story from a different faction. Kind of really gets you into that world. Uh-oh. So, especially because that book came out like right around when there was an RPG book that came out for it, for the Genesis system. And if you're being like Keyforge, there's not a whole lot of lore for Keyforge to have a whole RPG system on. And sure enough, there was. I'm trying to see what else we got. They actually have a Twilight Imperium book out. A lot of Marvel. Oh, there's a full up Keyforge one. They got a best of 2020 book.
Okay.
I was just scrolling through Tales from the Crucible was the one. And then Wrath of Nikkei. Those are I read that, and I think I read Curse of Honor. I can't remember if I read Curse of Honor, but I've read the novellas. Because before Aconite books came out, they had the novellas that Fantasy Flight used to come out with that would like have a card, like a promo card in there.
Okay.
So that was why you bought the book, was for the promo card, and then you would just be like, oh cool, I got a story to read. So
that was the Magic the Gathering stuff when you bought the
some of
box sets.
Some of them did.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the fat packs.
The fat packs, yeah. You bought the fat pack, you got a book, and you got a decent,
Speaking of which,
pack
that's another, if you want to talk about a huge amount of lore and books to read, that's probably the first gaming-related book I ever read was the Magic the Gathering ones.
I think that was mine too.
Yeah.
And now I'm scouring Amazon. Like I'll have my Amazon list up on my computer screen, and then I'll have my Kindle app open, and it's like, did I buy that one yet? Okay, I bought that one. Don't buy that one again.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And that's great because like, especially with the Magic ones, you don't have to know. Like there's like the 40K one, there's like a timeline of events, So like, yes, there's a whole bunch of individual stories. So you could probably jump around a bunch. And Magic, yes, there's an overall timeline as well, but the stuff gets kind of like chopped up by block because they try and release stuff by block, so that you could just jump in if there was a block that you got in with, like, Ravnica. That's why I started reading those, is because they did the Ravnica, Return to Ravnica. That's around when I got back into Magic, and Ravnica was one of the sets when I first got into Magic. I was like, oh, I want to read these books, and so that's how I started reading those. The Odyssey cycle, when it came out, they were so good. Yeah. I don't think I've read that one. Yeah, there was a Kamigawa book that was another one I saw at the used bookstore. Was for Kamigawa. That was actually the first set I played, was the Kamigawa cycle. But those, like, if you ever, and the best part about these books is it was just like what I said with 40K is you could be like someone like Teuton Tom said in the chat, like, those types of games are why I don't play GW, stay away from GW now. Well, the books allow you to kind of get that fix without having to spend the money and time on, buying $100 worth of models, or in the Magic case, like $1,000 worth of Magic cards.
Which is, in all fairness, $100 worth of models is like 3.
Right. Yeah. Well, it depends. It could be like 3 big models, or maybe it could be 5 little ones.
Okay, fine. I was gonna say 3 for $100, 1 for $100.
Right. Well, yeah, that's if you go with the really big one.
Yeah, really big one.
And then you go, oh my gosh, if you go on the Forge World site, then you get like the really big ones that you have to custom order that are like $500 to $1,000 a piece. Those are the ones that like take up the entire table when you sit down. Like they're the size of R2-D2.
They become your play map.
Yeah. So, you actually have read a decent amount of like the Magic ones, right? Isn't that what you were saying?
Yes, yeah. I'm going through and like trying to recollect them all, just to have easy access to them. And like right now I'm on the the Mishra and Urzra.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's like I'm reading through. It's like, oh yeah, I remember reading this.
Yeah.
It's still cool, but I remember reading it.
Long time ago.
Yeah.
And it's like
Uh,
I thought about getting the ebooks for a lot of these, but like the ebook is still more expensive than the paperback.
It's so annoying.
I
looking
hate
at
that.
the
Like
cost
that
of
is
some of
the
those.
dumbest thing ever. Like your ebook should be far cheaper than the paperback, because like you don't have to print it. It
You don't have
literally
to
costs
print it,
you
you
not.
don't have to ship it.
Well, there's
It's
also like because you have to make the PDF to go get the book. So like you literally have done the work. There is zero resource cost in this. It's pure profit. The cost of an ebook is pure profit. Other than the sure, there's probably like the tiny bit of fee that Amazon takes. Or tiny bit. It's
Yeah.
probably like 30%. But still, your cut is pure profit.
uh-huh. Yeah, it's a little
It's ridiculous.
more than a little annoying.
Yeah. So that's why, for the moment, it's just easier, cheaper for me to just buy the books. Plus, our local store had the first couple of the Horus Heresy, so I've actually been supporting my store, and that's something.
you
If you like, our local store has a crap ton of the GW stuff, and I think they have some of the other. There's like some other game book, like I think there's some Vampire the Masquerade's another RPG that has a bunch of books as well. That's got a huge fan base.
Mm-hmm.
So all in all, there's a crap ton of stuff out there. So so what do you think, Philip? So you've read a lot of the Magic stuff. Has there been any of these other things that we've talked about that have interested you?
A lot of the 40K stuff has interested me.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of an I think I had first heard it from Mike as analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
It's like there's so much.
Yeah, even at our
And you said someone told you're like Horus Heresy, start there. So I was sitting there like,
I literally went to I would type in best book to read for 40K, and every list has Horus Heresy #1 on it
as the top.
And that was why I started there, is because every list had that. It may not have been #1, but every top 10 list would change and whatever, but each one somewhere on the list had Horus Heresy, so it was okay, I get the picture. It's a big momentous event. And most everyone's like the first 5 books are good, and then they kind of get up and down swingy after that, and I'm like, oh, okay. But I just finished book 2, so I'm on book 3 of that.
All right.
So maybe I need to go slide this under your door. Is that what I'm I actually want because I really liked the Arkham Horror one and the Keyforge one. I may, even though I bought I reviewed those because that was when Akonai books first came out, and I've actually got I'll probably put those links in the show notes, the clicks to the reviews of those. But those were so good, I may end up buying them just to have them on the shelf and then be like, here, want to read an Arkham Horror book? Teuton Tom recommends starting with the I'm not going to say this right. Caphias Kane books. Funny you should say that, because also over the past 2 weeks, our local library has their book sale fundraiser.
Okay.
So it was April 2nd. And I was like, hey, another huge collection of books. I bet there's a 40K book. I found one. I found one 40K book, and it was one of the Caphias Kane books. I don't remember what the actual book was, but it's sitting upstairs next to my bed to get to. So that'll be when I'm waiting for the next Horus Heresy book to come out, or to deliver from Amazon. That'll probably be when I start reading that one.
Oh, is that all of them? Sorry, I'm looking through. There's Why does it have? Okay. There was I don't know if I've ever talked about them here. There was a set of novels by author Pierce Anthony.
Mm-hmm. I
about
recognize
the
the
world of
name.
Xanth.
Yep. I've heard you talk about this. Yes.
Okay, yeah, there was and see, these are out of order, and they're not even all of them.
And it's funny because we could do the reverse of this, and games based on books, and that would be another huge list.
That would be, yeah.
Yeah, because you get into like there's even like the what is it? It's not. I want to say Ring World, but it's not. I don't think it's that. The whatever. There's a ton of them.
Yeah.
So, like for instance, but this is the best part. Like Philip doesn't play Magic, but like you said, he's collecting and reading all the books. So what is it about the Magic world that has
Because
you?
I used to play.
Mm-hmm.
Like I got in on Cold Snap.
Oh,
Yeah, that's where I jumped in.
okay.
And it was
I remember my
we-
friends playing Cold Snap, but yes.
yeah. And I was learning from one of the guys. This is when I worked at Walmart. I was learning from one of the guys where I was going to a different Walmart to help them with their remodel. And like during lunch, we'd sit there and play and da da da. And then the student surpassed the master, which I mean, because he was like, and it was the progression of like, you know, he wins, and then all of a sudden it's kind of like we float back and forth, and all of a sudden Philip is dominating, and it was like I'm sorry. He's like, no, this is freaking awesome. Like I've never had so much fun being beat, and I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. But so I started like picking
I'm
up
totally
more
not going to
stuff.
take that phrase out of context. I've never had so much fun being beat.
So like I started we're just on our lunch breaks, we're immediately running to the thing to see if any new stock had come in. And that's where I saw some of the fat packs. I'm like, oh, there's a book in there too. That's awesome. One of the first books I read was actually book 2 of 3 of the series. And then it was like, oh, this is awesome with all the lore and everything and then I started like branching out and going back and forth and finding all the trying to find there's one book series. Like I read the first book and it ended on such an amazing cliffhanger, and that was kind of close to when they stopped doing fat packs with the books in them.
Right.
And I was like, I need no, you guys, you're leaving me hanging here. I gotta find it again.
Yeah, there's they did a couple of years ago. They did a big event for Magic that was called like War of the Spark. That was kind of
Okay.
like a conclusion to a lot of their storylines, and then starting a new set of stories that
Yeah.
also happened to take place on Ravnica. And they had a book for that, and I saw it in the store or the bookstore over the weekend. Was half tempted to buy that one.
Oh.
So, but
See, the other thing is, so I'm looking at all the Xanth novels
uh-huh.
on here, and it's the disparity. Disparity is the word. Yeah. Just the disparity of pricing. So it's like,
Are you talking about like ebooks?
yeah. Yeah, I'm like these are all the Xanth novels. Like book number 1 is $3. Book number 2 is $8. 3 is $8. 4 is $9. Where's a higher price one? Book number 10 is $12.
Yeah, I saw that too. Where it was like I looked on I was looking on like eBay and other places to see like used book sites, and like some of them, like there would be one random 40K book that's like $70. It was like book 7 was like $50 to $70. I was like, what the heck? It's like, okay. Like Ashley was like, oh, what? Or Chloe buys a bunch of used books, and she goes on this website, Thrift Books, and just like, oh, why don't you go on there? And I'm like, because I went on there, and they're not that cheap. Like, I don't know. Some people have got it that they can actually make some money off of these. Like, I'm not going to buy a used book for $6. We're not going to buy the brand new one for $8. like, it's like when you go to the. It reminds me when you go to GameStop and it's like I can get the new one for $60 or I can get it used for $55. I saved $5.
That's I can buy the new one from GameStop for $60 and sell it back to GameStop for $3.
Yeah. Actually, I had a friend. I knew someone that worked at. You want to know how they get day one used copies at GameStop?
They play them.
Yeah, that's so like what they'll do is so that they'll like the week before a game or like when the game comes in, they would have, or at least at his store, they would have everybody come over to one person's house and play the game. So that way the employees know what the game's about, which, I mean, that's
That way you can sell it.
that way you can sell it. Like, that makes sense. But then the game that they open would then be a used copy.
Oh yeah.
And then that's how they would sell it. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
found so way back in high school, I found out that a lot of not a lot, but there is a portion of used cars that
Mhm.
they have low mileage on them because they were used for driver's ed in high school.
Do they have like the brake on the other side?
I think they got all that stuff uninstalled.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was like, oh, this is used. It's got a really it's used. It's only 1 or 2 model years old, and it's got low mileage. Like, yeah, it was the driver's ed car.
Yeah. Yeah, I was trying to find. I'm not. Amazon keeps wanting me to use Audible credits. I
Oh,
guess because
yeah.
I guess I still have some Audible credits because they won't show me prices. It just shows me, hey, this is only 1 credit. No, stop it.
Oh, I love that. Some of them are literal. There's I'm reading through the Xanth novel, like the titles,
Mm-hmm.
and like Apocalypse, and looks like that's going to be about like finding love or something.
Mm.
There's the it's the Isle, ISLE, of View,
Okay,
and when you say it kind of quickly,
I love you.
yeah. And it was there was an island that you he also did something pretty neat. The 27th book in the
Mhm.
series is called Cube Root.
No,
Yeah.
it's pretty swanky.
And he does and though like he does everything that so 3 books are their own story. Each set of 3 is its own story.
Yeah,
set of
I remember.
9
I remember you telling me this.
Yeah, and then each set of 9 is like a combination of 3 threes,
Mm-hmm.
and then the 3 nines. It was like, oh, that is one. You put way too much thought into that, but that's kind of awesome. And like the way all the storylines kind of started tying themselves up. Yeah, it was. Why do they got to be so expensive though?
Well, it'd be a great way to like help expand our lore, right? Would
What's
be if people supported Patreon.
That's
So you
right.
explore the lore of Boards and Swords. $1 a month. We're about to finish this up, and we'll go into talking about Philip's. I'll kill the stream, and we'll talk about Philip's Vegas trip. But you're not gonna hear it unless you back for at least $1 a month over on Kickstarter, or Kickstarter, Patreon, patreon.com/Boards and Swords. So not only that, there's that new Halo show. Speaking of series that have books.
That's right.
There was that new Halo
And video games.
Yeah. Well, yes.
All 3.
Yeah. We talked last time. We had talked episode 1 of Moon Knight, but now we've gotten episode 2 at least.
Ooh, haven't watched that yet.
Oh, you haven't any of it?
I have not watched any of the Moon Knight.
Okay.
I've seen oh no, that wasn't even that was just I saw Oscar Isaac on the red carpet
Oh yes.
greeting some little kid in a Moon Knight cosplay.
Right.
Like I saw that. I'm like, that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't seen any Moon Knight. I've seen the first episode of Halo.
Right.
And I've seen episodes 1 and 2 of Picard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like I've been slacking. I don't know
Well,
what's
you
wrong.
are also gone for a week, in
I was
Vegas.
with internet access though.
Yeah, but time that you had spent watching a show is time that you weren't experiencing Vegas,
I mean, that's true.
which that sounds like a good play. Let's wrap this up. Let's play that beautiful bean music.
That's been our show tonight, everybody. We want to thank you for joining us on what we think is going to be our brand new permanent-ish recording
That's what we're looking at.
day of the week and time. We gotta, if you like what we're doing here, you gotta check us out, boardsandSwords.com. patreon.com/live. That's got the schedule. It's got the links to all our live streaming channels. It's also got the link to that Patreon that Chris was up there talking about. Give us $1 and you'll hear what we're about to talk about after this show. It's great.
All right. You can email us comments and questions at feedback@boardsandswords.com. We're on social media, facebook.com/social media. I'm trying to do two different things at the same time. Facebook.com/boardsandswordspod. I'm at Boards and Swords on Twitter and at Boards and Swords Chris on Instagram. You would think I had gotten this all figured out, but I'm just a wreck.
I improvise every single time. I don't know what you're doing.
I try. I think it's when I don't improvise is when I mess up, because my brain is wanting to improvise, but I'm also trying to read.
Oh, I got you. Yeah. So,
Thanks you once again for listening. Once again, go check out patreon.com/boardsandswords to help support the show. We'll be back 2 weeks on another Monday with another show. In the meantime, remember that every gamer has a story, some of which need to stay in Vegas.
you're not wrong.
The camera's all zoomed in, so like you can't see me dancing as much. I have to like pull my hands up to like
Oh, that's right. I see
kind of
it.
do a little jig. All right. Thank you, everybody that's in the chat room. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.